And we're live. Welcome to the fall 2020 season premiere of Director's Cut Online and streaming from a remote location. Well, not so remote from Mark since he's just upstairs, but you know what I mean. I'm Spencer Fowler.
And I'm Mark Herron. We've got a jam-packed episode for you tonight, filled with new friends, hot takes, and all the film talk you can imagine. But for now, let's just get started.
Well, everyone, I'd like to introduce you to our new host, Mark. Mark, would you like to introduce yourself? I know we've known each other for a while, but many of the people in the audience do not know you.
Yeah, I'm really happy to be here. I'm Mark. I'm a junior majoring in film. Still not totally sure what I'm going to minor in. Maybe creative writing. I guess I really love film because of the way it can make you feel, especially the way that writing can make you feel. So, hey, might be a screenwriter in the future. Here's hoping.
And, talking about screenwriting, do you have any sort of films that you would like to write or any particular genre?
Totally. I am really passionate, I guess, about like horror films. I feel like they're kind of like underrated and are sort of, there was a big surge of them in, I guess, like the 80s, early 90s, and they're kind of coming back. People are, I guess, are respecting the like power that they can hold. I really enjoy the mix of, I guess, real life themes such as like mental health issues that can really be portrayed, I think, in the best way when they're in a horror film.
And throughout your Hofstra career, what sort of films have you made, if you've made any?
Well, I guess I've made some spooky-esque things. Hey, Justin. You were in my freshman year. One of my freshman year films I had made called Instinct. It was about a man who kind of knew that he was a cannibal, but didn't really want to act on those instincts. So he thought the best way to do it would be to find a steady source of already dead bodies, so that he didn't have to, commit any crimes. But it didn't necessarily work out for him in the end the way he had intended. So, and you were pretty good in it. You were pretty good.
Well, thank you. Do you have any favorite horror films?
Oh, completely. I mean, Blair Witch Project, even Paranormal Activity 1 and 3. I mean, 2 is good, but 1 and 3 are definitely like up there. I just think found footage, especially for me at least, it always has that element of, oh, maybe this could really happen. And that like really gets to me. And I think, especially you look at the way that a movie like Paranormal Activity or even Blair Witch Project were marketed, that they were real, and that, it was a sort of collaboration between the filmmakers and, the police department and, in the Blair Witch Project case, like the parks department and stuff like that. It brings you into the real world of the film.
I definitely can agree with that. That factor of not really knowing if it's real or not real is great. And I think that was the strong suit of Paranormal Activity. I mean, I remember Paranormal Activity 3 was probably one of the first horror movies that I ever watched, and it scared. I couldn't sleep that night. I remember I couldn't sleep. I would look out the window, and there was a tree stump, and I swore it was a human out there, and I went, oh man, I'm never watching horror movies again. But then the next day there I was watching Paranormal Activity 2. So I can definitely see the appeal to it. We love being scared, and that's something that's so great.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, when you think about, like horror movies and what they make you like feel, it's kind of weird that we like enjoy them so much, I guess. But like, it's that thrill that I guess maybe after a long day, you kind of, need to pump yourself up somehow. And you really can get that pretty much instantaneously just by watching a horror movie, because it really draws you in. Not only are you sort of worried about, you know, the protagonists, but you're almost like really eager to see how the antagonist or the big bad sort of plays out and how they operate. And I mean, yeah, horror movies are just great. And then of course afterward you just watch like a fun little YouTube video, and it brightens you up, and you can go to sleep.
Yeah, you watch a fun little YouTube video and sleep with the lights on, and then you feel great. Definitely.
Yeah. You sleep with the lights on, your feet under like 3 piles of blankets so that nothing can get under there.
Yeah, and Justin asks, do you have any new films in the works right now?
Nothing production wise. I'm actually in screenwriting classes this semester. I consider myself kind of fortunate to be in those classes this semester and not in production classes, obviously, given the circumstances. But screenwriting classes, actually, I'm in really just one, and then a script analysis class, but it's kind of, I feel like they go hand in hand. I'm really glad that I'm taking them both together. You know, my screenwriting class is horror centered, and you're actually in the same class as me. So I am writing a film about a woman. She's a recent graduate, eager to sort of get a new start in life and really like get a solid foundation for her future. She moves into this new house, sort of far away from home, to maybe avoid some of her past, and she starts to like realize that maybe there's a history of this house that she wasn't let in on at first by her realtor. And after she researches, we sort of maybe think that maybe it's in her mind, but by the end, who knows?
Who knows? Do you have any plans for when you want to go into production with it? Would it be kind of a senior thesis film possibly, or are you thinking that you might want to write something else?
I'm not sure. You know, I would, right now, personally, seeing all of my friends who have done their senior films and how stressful and time consuming, and not to say that I don't trust other people, but it's just you have to put a lot of your trust into other people for that process, and it's a big commitment for everybody involved. So right now, I think I'm leaning toward the screenwriting capstone, which I think the film I'm currently working on would be perfect for. As you know, the assignment that we have in our horror screenwriting class is just to write eventually the first 30 pages of the script. So once I get that, I guess I'll have like a good starting point for my senior script.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning more towards the film thesis studies, the film studies thesis capstone, sort of. I can't decide because I feel the same way as you. You know, it is a big burden on a lot of people, and it's also a lot to sort of, you know, take the reins of a thesis film entirely. And especially with us having coronavirus going on, you know, we don't really know.
Totally. Yeah. And I mean, I can barely think about what's going to happen in a week, let alone a year. So it's just a little too much right now, but we still have time, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I really think that the screenwriting capstone would be a great choice, especially to continue to workshop the film and the ideas. But right now, we are going to a quick little, it looks like a B-roll video by Becky.
Awesome.
All right, and now we are going to have Nerys, the producer of Director's Cut, join us.
Awesome.
Hi, everybody. Wow, it's strange to be on here again. I'm usually behind the scenes doing all the tapping. So, hi, guys.
Hello, hello.
Good to have you.
So how has preparing for, this first episode been going? I'm sure that you've been spending a majority of your summer, or at least some of it, worrying and planning and thinking this all through. So what's been the process?
So definitely it's been difficult to plan amidst COVID. I know last semester we were really fortunate to be able to have this outlet StreamYard that our content director, David Henney, was able to put together for us. And now we are working to start getting Livestream Studio off the ground as well. But yeah, no, it's been very, very strange. I do have to say that there's been lots of meetings this summer to make sure that we're even able to produce our shows once again.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, so far I think you've done a great job. I mean, I definitely feel welcome and ready to go. I think that this is going to be a great season.
I truly hope so. I really, really hope so. It's definitely something that's going to be strange. We're hoping to be in studio for our next episode so that we kind of have a bit of a nostalgic thing back. But obviously, everyone's going to have to wear masks and practice proper social distancing measures and such.
Yeah, I'm definitely prepared for that, and I'm really excited for that. So what can we kind of, expect to see while in the studio, and what can our audience expect as well?
So in the studio, unfortunately, while I know you guys live together on our set, you will have to be 6 feet apart just to sort of ensure that we are following COVID guidelines, as well as when we have guests on the show, everyone will have to wear a mask, crew will have to wear a mask. And in terms of in-studio stuff, we're kind of going to be minimizing crew just to make sure that we don't have a huge population of people, just to follow the guidelines set forth by New York State.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, that's really great to hear that you guys are taking it quite seriously, on the whole crew side and the production side. How have your faculty advisors been helping you through this process and leading you down the path of making sure that everybody is safe?
Our faculty advisor, Dr. Peter Gershon, who I will scream his name into the heavens because he's so fantastic and so helpful. He's been very supportive and trying to make sure that we're able to produce our shows either in the realm of being virtual or minimal studio stuff, or whether or not we're doing pre-taping, because I know other shows are doing that. But it's really been him, and then very luckily our tech manager, Victoria Chong, whose birthday it is today. So happy birthday, Victoria! I hope you're watching. She's just been helping out a lot with trying to figure out all the logistics of how we can get back to the studio, if being back in the studio, and such and so.
Yeah, definitely. Mark, do you have any questions for me?
Well, honestly, I was going to ask about the faculty advisors, because I can't imagine, with the uncertainty of the time, really having to dive deep into figuring out how you're going to bring such a, I guess, in-depth show that, does involve so many moving parts and so many people that normally work to, I guess, bring it to fruition, how it was to, switch to StreamYard, and how it was, making those decisions of, all right, the first episode has to be online, but let's really push for that second episode to be in person. I mean, thank you.
No, definitely. It was kind of hard to, because our show schedule got moved up, because as some of you may know, but for those who don't, the Hofstra fall semester got moved up, and I believe the spring semester got moved back. So all of our shows were moved up. Our show was originally supposed to be September 24th, but it got moved up to tonight. So woohoo, happy first show. Yeah, no, it was a very, very interesting time. I deliberated with my fantastic co-producer, Matt Ovington, and we thought it would be best to keep the first show online, because we obviously have to figure out the logistics with packages and how everything else is going to be working in that regard, because we want to be able to bring back Director's Cut in all of its glory, packages, guests, clips, and all. So we'd rather take more time and then put time to put together an online or virtual episode this go round, and be able to throw everything and go guns a-blazing in for our next one.
Right. How will package filming actually work out? Because I know, crew needs to wear masks. We are going to need to wear masks. Is it possible to wear masks in a package?
It is most definitely possible to wear masks in a package. I'd actually like to refer to one of the other shows, 2 Weeks Notice, who was so fantastic. They actually did some packages, social distancing, wearing masks. So it is totally possible. We just, again, have to keep minimal crew. So it might be a director, a camera person, and that might be it, maybe sound. And yeah, just to keep everything as minimal as possible, keep everyone socially distanced, because again, we don't want to pass on everything. Very luckily, the students here, and I can speak on behalf of the comm school, everyone's been very, very, very much adhering to the rules and regulations put forth by COVID, because I don't think anybody wants to go home necessarily. I'm lucky enough to be in an off-campus house, but I know some people on campus are fortunate. Yeah, so I know everyone's trying to be able to stay on campus as long as they can for the entire semester, if not the entire year.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Nerys, thank you very much for doing all of the work behind the scenes, and thank you to the rest of the Directors Cut E board and crew and everyone for making this possible. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me.
Well, Mark, I would love to move on and talk about kind of the future of, films as a whole, in a way. Theaters have been shut down for quite a while now, and a few states are beginning to open again. But for us here on Long Island, they're still not open. So kind of, what are you foreseeing for the future?
I mean, first of all, just like the knowledge that we are so restricted here, rightfully so, but seeing people in other parts of the country or even other parts of the world is so jarring that they are opening, and especially movie theaters. I mean, so many like great movies that were going to come out this year were moved to next year or even 2022 because they thought that, they needed to be released in theaters. But of course, this year we've also seen that a lot of those movies were released at a sort of at-home theater situation. So, I mean, who knows what's going to happen? I know that, already some films are being made and even released completely from quarantine. So who knows, maybe that'll be its own genre, or the first theaters. I actually spoiled the plot for myself on Wikipedia, and I'm thankful that I did, because I didn't understand it.
No.
So I probably wouldn't have gotten it if I watched it at all. But Christopher Nolan, thank you for The Dark Knight.
Okay, I must say that I've definitely debated, should I go and see it? Should it be the first movie? I keep thinking about it, because when I saw the prologue for Tenet in IMAX before Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, which admittedly was not a good movie, the prologue for Tenet, which was about 5 minutes, was 5 of the most gripping minutes in cinema I've ever seen. I was entirely in, and the moment that they said Tenet coming out this July, so I think that was the original release date, I went, I don't even need to watch Star Wars. I can walk out, and I got my fill,
Yeah.
Definitely debated it, but I'd much rather go to a drive-in theater where it's safer. The other weekend I just was fortunate enough to drive down, over to Brooklyn and see, I don't know about that comment, but I was fortunate to drive over to Brooklyn and go to an outdoor drive-in theater and see Back to the Future Part 2, and it was a blast. And so I think that Tenet would have the same exact feeling as being in a theater if it were outside.
Interesting. I mean, I know that we had the opportunity, we were considering, I suppose, going to see The Matrix at the drive-in theater. And honestly, I wasn't really looking forward to it. I said no, because in my opinion, at least, I feel like there are movies that, you definitely need to watch in a theater, or, it's great on the big screen. But The Matrix has like a weird history with me, I guess. It was the only rated R movie I was like allowed to watch as a kid, and I just like didn't like it or really understand it, I guess, as I was growing up. So I finally like watched it for the first time the other day. Also, no, boycott Mulan. I watched it for the first time the other day, maybe last year. And I was like, wow, this is cool. This is really cool. But I could not imagine myself seeing it anywhere other than a dark room in my house, on a couch, on the TV, like maybe wrapped in a blanket and like drinking a green tea or something.
There are definitely specific environments that heighten the feeling of a film. And I can definitely see that for Matrix, especially that 90s grungy vibe.
Mhm.
Just being in a room in the dark, oh, I can feel it. But the Dune trailer, going off of Matt's comment down below, did you watch it yet, Mark?
I've seen like little clips of it on Twitter, but I have not seen the entire thing. I've seen screenshots of it. Like, it looks insane. It looks insane.
Yeah, I watched it. I didn't see the Dune from the 1980s, I believe, directed by David Lynch, if I'm correct. I never saw that one, and I'm not going to. I know that it has kind of a cult following, but now that this new version is coming out, I'm holding off. And I also haven't read the book either. But the trailer, spectacular. Spectacular, Mark. You need to watch it after this. You need to.
I've like always heard of like Dune, and for some reason I don't know why I in maybe middle school, high school, always assumed that it was somehow associated with Darude Sandstorm. So I mean, like the fact that it's like a big movie, like a big, like everybody's so excited for it, I'm just like, but it looks cool. It looks cool. I'm definitely gonna see it.
Okay, then if you're not looking forward to Dune, oh, hang on, let's take this question really quick. Do you guys think drive-in movies will make a resurgence even when normal theater experiences will be completely safe again?
I hope so, at least. I mean, I know that the vibe, I guess, like we were talking about how certain movies definitely need, I guess, different vibes or environments to really enjoy them to their fullest extent. And I think certain movies, like say, if I were to rewatch Grease, like seeing Grease in like a drive-in theater, or you know, any like 80s movie about like high school. I feel like any high school movie, it's like you got to watch it in a car.
Yeah, I can see that. I saw Jaws at the drive-ins over the summer, and it was actually the 45th anniversary of Jaws, and that was an experience. You know, you can't beat that. You're in the summer heat, you're enjoying it, and even though I wasn't near an ocean because I'm from Vermont, you know, pretty landlocked, I still got that feeling, and I felt like I was almost transported back, and it was just so rich, so amazing. But I think that drive-ins will always have a special place in America's heart. You know, I think they will always exist no matter what. Will they be huge all the time like they are right now? Or I wouldn't say they're huge right now. They're really in pop culture right now.
Right.
Will they always remain that way? Probably not. But will there always be a cult following? Of course. Of course.
Right. And I mean, it also always depends on like the area. I mean, I feel like if you know, back in like Maryland, I don't think there's really that many drive-in theaters, but around here, I mean, there's more of a, I guess, demand or even just a desire for them. I think like drive-in theaters are kind of the same category as maybe like a roller rink, whereas, you know, people really enjoyed them back in the day, and there's still some people that really do enjoy it, but it's just not, I guess, as worthwhile a business venture as it used to be. But there's definitely still people in certain areas that will really flock to it.
Yeah, it's kind of a niche, you know, it's kind of a subculture of people. But I don't know, there's nothing beats a double feature. I will say that. To be able to pay $10 to see 2 films in one night, you cannot beat that. Also, you can't beat concession stand hamburgers. I'm just throwing that out there. Concession stand hamburgers are delicious. They're great.
Interesting. Concession stand from like just a normal movie theater?
No. It has to be a drive-in movie theater hamburger. Otherwise, you don't eat that.
All right. You know what I do miss is going to a movie theater and asking, hey, can I get a large Coke Icy and some nachos? And they just give you the little Tostito circles and the like cheese that might be plastic. And I'm like, oh, and the jalapenos too. And they give you that little cup of jalapenos. Set. I'm set. I'm set for the first 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, I remember going to see The Lighthouse with you, and I could just hear you eating those nachos. I've never been to the movie theater with somebody eating nachos before. You were the first. Typically, my order is popcorn, a Coke, because you need to have Coke. If you go to a movie theater with Pepsi, and possibly cinnamon pretzel bites. All right, and we have also an interesting question that's pretty new in the news. It was announced either earlier today or even yesterday. But what are your thoughts on the Oscars new diversity rules?
I'm not 100% clear on, their full extent. I do know that I guess there's sort of different categories of, they all apply only to movies that could be considered for Best Picture, which I think is like one of the biggest misconceptions. I've seen a lot of people detract from that sort of topic or idea, or just the introduction of these new rules, because I guess they assume that they apply to everything. But it's just the Best Picture. And so, it's like something about the plot, the sort of behind the scenes, the way that they market it, and something else. And it has to do with, increasing representation for like minorities marginalized groups, really.
Yeah, underrepresented. And completely. I think it is a great move, honestly, overall. I think it's about time that it happens. And I personally didn't read a lot into the rules particularly, but from what I had read, I was like, yeah, I'm surprised this didn't exist in the past. I'm surprised it's taken this long to actually get here. But, I'm really, really glad that we're finally at this point where, the Academy is making a change.
Right.
It's been a long time coming.
And while the change definitely has its pros, personally, I feel as though the one glaring thing I have a problem with, I suppose, is the idea that the storyline really has to adhere to their guidelines, and their guidelines is that the storyline, or I think one of the main plot lines of the film, has to do with one of the characters who is the marginalized group, and it has to be about that marginalized group in a way. I just think it's asking for, the people in the majority to almost like gawk at in a way, as they like already do. We've seen so many movies already of people of color, like BIPOC people experiencing racism. We've seen so many movies where gay people have to like deal with homophobia, trans people like especially have to deal with transphobia, and that's really not the only stories that we have. So it's weird, I think, that they're really pushing for us to only tell those stories. But say, the increased representation in behind the scenes, in the departments that work to actually produce and, write and I guess post-produce the film, I think that's a great push.
Yeah, I agree as well. Especially, I noticed this early on when I was doing research about just female cinematographers, and there were very few. It was unbelievable how few female cinematographers there were, and I was just so blown away. But with this change, it's going to be a big change for the Oscars, and this year overall, the changes won't go into effect until I believe 2022.
I believe 2024, but 2022 is when they'll start to really make that push to say, all right, we're starting now. Don't forget, 2024 is when we need. But with that, I think it's time for a quick little break. I know I definitely need it.
At the Lawrence Herbert School of Communication, so much of our learning takes place outside of the classroom. Hofstra Filmmakers Club offers students countless opportunities to develop skills, meet fellow filmmakers, and showcase their works. No formal filmmaking experience is required. Hofstra Filmmakers Club provides a platform for all students to grow as filmmakers and learn more about their passion. All areas of filmmaking are explored, with members skilled in pre-production, production, and post-production more than willing to share their filmmaking expertise. HFC serves as a wonderful environment for students to exchange ideas and experiences. Whether you're watching, discussing, or making films, you can find a place at Hofstra Filmmakers Club.
WRHU Radio Hofstra University is not just any college radio station. It's the #1 college radio station in the country, winning 3 Marconi Awards, including this past year. We're a professional radio station broadcasting news, sports, music, talk shows, you name it. We also happen to be the flagship radio station for the New York Islanders, broadcasting every single one of their games. We're the only college in the nation to broadcast a professional sports team, and you can get involved as early as your freshman year. Join WRHU to get involved in news, sports, music, but also other aspects of the communications field like tech, social media, marketing, and more. WRHU lets my creative juices flow and is a place I call home and has prepared me for the media industry. If you're interested in joining WRHU, you can contact the Personnel Director at personnel@wrhu.org or fill out an application on our website.
And we're back.
There are so many things going on at Hofstra.
I know. Our next guest is actually a member of HFC, Hofstra Filmmakers Club, along with me. You might have seen me in that video. Katie Tierney, welcome.
Hi, guys.
Hey, what's up?
So, Katie, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm a junior film major with a minor in psychology. I've been a TA in the film program before. I've joined Hofstra Filmmakers Club, and I'm just having a great time learning film.
Awesome. So what film ventures, I guess, are you finding yourself in this semester? Are you taking any classes that can get you in the creative mood?
Yeah, for sure. So as of now, I'm taking film editing with Professor Reynolds, which is an amazing class. I'm so excited to learn more of like the tech side of post-production and things like that, and also just what exactly editing is. And I'm currently taking the first film history course with Professor Hill.
Awesome. Yeah, me too.
Wait, so are you in 137A?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm peer teaching that class.
I know you're my peer tutor.
That's so great. So, with your previous time at Hofstra, what sort of productions have you been in, if any?
So I have taken 27 and 47, which are the intro and intermediate production classes at Hofstra. In my 27 class, I was able to do some shoots with Bolex Film, as well as just our regular films that we have in that class. Unfortunately, my 47 class was interrupted by COVID-19, so we weren't able to have the production experience that we wanted. But that just means that we're going to work a lot more on any production opportunities that come our way this year.
Yeah, definitely. And do you foresee any production opportunities this semester, with COVID and everything going on?
I think that's really going to have to depend on what the state guidelines outline so that we can all be safe on set. But until then, I think it's just we should learn everything we can in the post-production aspect, which is why I'm trying to take this editing class this semester, as well as just plan for our future shoots. Like Mark said, this is a great time to be writing and planning out our future.
Awesome. Yeah. And I mean, how's that film editing course working now? Is it in person? Is it significantly smaller than normal? Can you really tell that you're taking this class during this time, if that makes sense?
Well, I think the great thing about film editing is that you're always just in your own individual workspace. So sometimes it's easy to forget about what's going on around you and stuff like that and just focus on the computer screen that's in front of you. It's really nice. We are like a lot more spaced out in the lab this semester. Everybody's wearing their protective equipment and we sit at the same workstation every time, which is really good to minimize what the contact we have with other people who are using the lab spaces right now.
Right. And also I know that having to juggle other like multiple computers while you're editing something is not it.
Yeah, it kind of works out for the better, the fact that we're just on one main desktop every single time.
Right.
Yeah. I can definitely agree. Oh, let's see.
What's your favorite spot on a film set?
I mean, honestly, I'm in the midst of learning everything right now. So I really love any opportunity I have to be a production assistant, to just do anything and everything that there is on set, just because I feel like I learn a lot in that aspect and I'm able to gain a lot of experience.
Awesome, yeah.
And, you know, with your own films, do you have any particular genre that you're interested in? I know that Mark had said horror for himself. So what about you?
I think I'm kind of into those more like slow burn kind of thrillers. I love a twist ending, so I try and throw those in wherever I can, and just keep your audience on your toes for as long as you can.
Yeah, definitely. So, do you have any examples of your favorite kind of twist endings?
I mean, I guess my most recent example would have to be Knives Out. It took me forever to finally see that film. Don't worry, Mark, I'm not going to spoil it. But once I finally did, I just loved it because you spend that whole film trying to figure out who done it, and you finally get to the end and it's not who you expected it to be.
Interesting. All right. Yeah, I need to find the time to watch it.
For sure. Highly recommend.
Mark, you definitely do. I'm surprised you haven't seen it. It is a blast.
I feel like I started watching it one time and then I think my internet went out and I was really upset. So I was just like, you know what, let me take a nap. And then I just never tried to watch it again. So you talked a little bit about, psychology and film. Are you planning on combining those in any way? Is there I know you want to learn as much as you can about every sort of aspect of film, but is there anything that you really see yourself doing in the future? Not necessarily specifically, but maybe that you're leaning toward right now?
I mean, as of right now, I currently just love studying film in general and having the psychology side of things to back up certain production decisions as to why people were making these decisions. That's really cool to investigate, kind of learning human tendencies in vision and perception to understand why we see movies the way we do. That's definitely interesting. So like Spencer was saying, maybe more thesis aspect in production.
Oh my gosh.
Mark, you really got to get on Knives Out.
Yeah, Justin, I'll walk there. I'll walk there after this episode ends and we can watch it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Just learning more, maybe the studying film, but then also kind of in a post-production setting right now because I really do enjoy the editing class.
Totally.
Yeah, the editing class, I'm in it with you as well. Learning how to edit is pretty interesting to say the least, industry standard. But before the show, Katie, we were talking about film theories, and I guess film theories it goes into the category of psychology in a way, because you had brought up the milk theory, right? Which was, would you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so it's just something I've seen online. A lot of people are noticing, and if you watch it, it makes sense. So milk is always associated, if you think back to your own lives, a lot of times when you drank milk was when you were a kid. So the milk is sort of it's a symbol of innocence and purity and that white color and associating with childhood. So a lot of times in films, when we see a villain or a suspicious character drink a glass of milk, we're on edge because we're seeing an adult partake in something that typically children do. So example,
milk?
Whole milk, I mean, I guess it could be almond milk. We don't really know.
Whole milk tastes good, like when it's in like something, you know what I mean? Like whole milk has the best taste for baking.
Yes.
But the worst feeling after.
You definitely got to do some prep beforehand if you're going to have a glass.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Speaking of theories though, I mean, I heard that you might have another one to share that's a little out there, but I've heard that once you start explaining it, you immediately sell us. So I'm looking forward to hearing it.
Yes. Okay. So I've been asked a couple times recently what my biggest hot take is when it comes to film. And I would have to say one that I learned during COVID, because I was catching up on my films that I've never seen before, and Indiana Jones was one of them. And if you watch Indiana Jones, it is basically an adaptation of Robin Hood.
Okay.
And I'll give you some points. So the most blatantly obvious one is the character of Marion. Marion is the female in both movies and stories. They don't even bother to change her name. She is the love interest of the male lead in both films. She's sort of like spunky. She's got that energy, and she basically stays the same. The second aspect is if you look at the Robin Hood character and the Indiana Jones character. Both have iconic weapons of sorts. Robin Hood has his bow, and Indiana Jones has his whip. They were both held prominent positions in society. Indiana Jones is a professor, and Robin Hood is a nobleman. But then, throughout their life, they turn into a more, I would guess you could say, scandalous aspect, whereas Indiana Jones becomes more like looking for treasure as an archaeologist, and Robin Hood becomes the sort of thief that he's known as now. And if we all look in the villain aspect, we have the Sheriff of Nottingham, and I think his name is Belloc, but also the Nazis in Indiana Jones, and Belloc, kind of like Nottingham in some adaptations, is after Marion and things like that. So yeah, if you take a look, I would recommend watch a Robin Hood adaptation and watch Indiana Jones and see the similarities that you can find.
Is there like a specific Indiana Jones like movie that you watched and you were like, oh, this is exactly it? Or was it the entire series?
Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah, that was the one I watched. And then I compared it to the Robin Hood with Kevin Costner and Alan Rickman, which I know is a lot of people have problems with that movie, but it's personally one of my like guilty pleasures.
I had forgotten that Robin Hood existed. So I was going to say the only Robin Hood film that I've ever seen was, I believe, that Disney adaptation where it was Fox.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, with like all the animated characters. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my second favorite Robin Hood adaptation. If you went to see the one like recently with like Taron Egerton, I would not recommend. Like, yeah, not the best Robin Hood adaptation.
I feel like the only Robin Hood like adaptation that I really know is the one from Once Upon a Time on ABC.
Oh my God, yes.
Oh, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time to watch.
Yeah.
And Katie, you said that you were interested in, I believe you said film history. So do you also subscribe to some of the more classical film theories and just like theories of film? I know that in 37A we talked about Eisenstein and Soviet montage and stuff.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, like it's kind of nice to have the psychology background to look at these different film theories and see how much they actually hold up. A lot of interesting theories as well with just like regarding emotion, the fact that in Russian cinema we can experience the same emotions as people because there are like 6 universal facial types for emotions. So that's kind of how we can understand those implications of things and those like, I would just say like human universals for the fact like with Eisenstein seeing the bowl of soup and seeing the man and implying that he's hungry. That is a universal assumption that when we see food and we see someone looking at it, we're like, oh, they want food. So that's
awesome.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think they're interesting. They're definitely a section that I haven't really delved that far into. I'm more focused personally on the historic aspect rather than the theory of everything. So yeah, I would love to, continue to speak more with you about this and kind of, expand our overall knowledge.
Unfortunately, though, I don't think we have enough time for that. Katie, I think we had a great time talking to you, but unfortunately, it's time to say goodbye.
Oh, well, thanks for having me, guys. I had a great time.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Phew, all right, Mark. I want to know some of your hot takes.
Oh my gosh. Are you ready for my hot take, Spencer?
Well, do you want me to hit you with one? I can hit you with one.
Hit me with a hot take. Hit me with a hot take. Come on, we gotta build up because frankly, I think our audience isn't gonna be ready for my hot take.
Well, I want to say that I think Phantom Menace was pretty good. Okay, I'm just going to throw that out there. I think most people my age would also agree because we were super young when that came out. I mean, I don't even know if I was born when that came out, if I'm going to be completely honest. But growing up with it, I have such a fondness in my heart for it. So many people hate it.
Jar Jar Binks, I don't remember which of the movies he was in, but Jar Jar Binks, best prequel character. Besides Hayden Christensen as Anakin. But Jar Jar Binks, he's so cool.
I would have to disagree with you though, because Darth Maul is so awesome. Even though he's only in there for one episode, Darth Maul is amazing. Think about it.
So true. Well, I saw this one video the other day. I guess in the movie, possibly Darth Maul had already known that I think it was Qui-Gon at that time that he was going after. I guess he sort of knew where Qui-Gon was, so that's why he was following him on the speeder. But Emily said, Mark, no. Oh, no, Jar Jar is a great character. Darth Maul was like following Qui-Gon, but in the scene, he just like Qui-Gon is maybe like a mile ahead of Anakin, and Anakin's just like a little child running on the sand, and Darth Maul out of the barren landscape, it's completely flat. He decides to go straight for Anakin, and Anakin has to duck, and he could have died. The credits could have rolled right then. Darth Maul just hates kids.
How long has it been since I've seen this movie, and why do I not remember that scene ever happening?
I didn't remember it either, but it happened. It happened. He nothing around, just Anakin, some sand, Darude sandstorm, just some sand, and it was a straight shot. I mean, it certainly was a straight shot through Anakin, but he could have turned, he could have veered, but he didn't. He had some beef.
Okay. What's your hot take? Come on, I gave you mine. So right. Give and take thing.
All right, you gotta take a seat for this. Marvel movies, unnecessary. I'll tell you why. I will tell you why. Like okay, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because I guess like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, those are Marvel, I guess. Those were great. Even the new Spider-Man movies, those are pretty cool. And like Deadpool, the X-Men movies, I know they're gonna get ruined by the MCU, but the old X-Men movies, incredible.
Okay.
The MCU is for straight men to be like, whoa, look at that guy. And then like Scarlett Johansson comes out and she's like, and it's just the same formula over and over and over again. I will admit, like, I kind of like the Iron Man movies, but everything else, I mean, like, especially the Captain America movies. The Captain America movies are so unnecessary.
I don't know.
Over and over again, it's just the same characters each time. They barely even add anybody. The villains are so bland.
I would think back to Winter Soldier, Mark. Winter Soldier, when that came out, was groundbreaking, and somehow I just know it was. But somehow Captain America Winter Soldier was groundbreaking. I mean, think about it. It was the introduction of the Russo brothers to, the MCU and kind of to the directing game. So that was pretty great. And the Thor Ragnarok rocked. That movie was spectacular. Hilarious.
I haven't seen it, but I do know that I would like it because of like the visuals and everything. It seemed like a cool movie. And honestly, what?
Taika Waititi.
Oh, true. You're right.
Justin, I disagree.
Justin, I haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2, but the first one was just like it was so slow the entire time. It really was.
I can agree with that, Mark. I can agree with that.
Maybe it's not that hot of a take. It's a loop.
Yeah. What was that?
maybe it's a lukewarm take. It's not that hot of a take.
Yeah. And also another lukewarm take. No, I don't know.
Well, I guess me saying that all the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, that's a hot take, and I'll stand by it. I stand by it. It's welcome to DC's lukewarm takes. This is still a hot take, but we'll go on to a little more lukewarm takes in a second. But like, I just feel like MCU is made for straight men who peaked in high school and like love capitalism, and they're like, Blue Lives Matter, because like.
I think that you're thinking of Transformers, man.
Captain America is Blue Lives Matter, like, man, besides Punisher, but.
I think you're thinking of Transformers. I mean, Transformers was a blast too in 3D. Talk about 3D. Another hot take.
Transformers 1. Transformers 1 with Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox. That was an incredible movie. I will say, I loved that movie.
Wait, are you ready?
It may be nothing but happy.
Are you ready? This is not a lukewarm take. I think this is a hot take. It could be classified as lukewarm. I miss 3D movies.
Why? In what way? Because they still make 3D movies.
They do, but not at the level that they were. Okay, I'm not saying I want to see every single movie in 3D. Okay, I'm not saying that at all, because I love 2D movies. 2D movies are great. Like, I think of Patterson, fantastic film. I think of a movie like The Lady Eve, spectacular film, 2D, great. They don't need 3D, but the spectacle and the just overall, you're right, Spike.
That is true.
But the overall spectacle and entertainment and just overall value of 3D, I don't know. I loved it. Do I think it needed to be as expensive as it was? No. At times they were charging like $5 more than the regular 2D ticket. But I really miss those days of where 3D, everybody wanted to do it because Avatar was huge. What do you think, Mark? Do you miss it at all or no?
I mean, I will say, certain 3D movies have their appeal, but I hate rewatching 3D movies at home when it's not 3D, because you can really tell that it was made like they really tried to amp up that 3D factor. Things will just randomly throw out of the screen, and it's like so flat when you're watching it on the TV and just so unnecessary. Like, it doesn't really add anything, but I guess in the movies you're kind of like, ooh. But at home, it doesn't do anything other than take you out of the moment, in my opinion. So I guess I could do without. I mean, 4D is a whole other thing. 4D experience? I've never seen a 4D movie, but like 4D shows where, you see the video. I guess in a way it's like a movie. And then, there's all the things happening around you. That's really fun. I like that, because that makes you feel like you're a part of it, really. But I think 3D is just, it's trying to make you a part of it, but it's not going that full mile.
I can agree. And I also can agree that the 3D feeling of immersiveness can be emulated through IMAX. IMAX is spectacular. Such a good immersive technology and immersive viewing experience as well. It is so great. But Mark, I must tell you, the first film that I ever felt like, ugh, why are they making 3D? Or I was watching it at home and I'm like, whoa, that was a really weird shot. Was Journey to the Center of the Earth. That one, not the second one with The Rock, but the first one with PETA.
The terrible one with The Rock, Brendan Fraser.
Yes. And I just
scratch and sniff movie technology. I would say that one episode of like Here Comes Honey Boo Boo, where they did the scratch and stink like promotion. That was pretty cool. that was pretty good promotional thing. In one of the scenes of the episode, Alana farts, and it pops up number 4, and so you scratch number 4, and you can sniff her fart.
That is horrific. That is
crazy.
Absolutely horrific.
Crazy.
That is not. No. I think that's it for hot takes. I think that is definitely it for hot takes. I don't want to hear any other ones. I think we've hit the peak.
All right, I'll just repeat that Marvel is unnecessary.
Okay. I can.
Yes, I agree. Journey to Center of the Earth 1, very good. Journey to Center of the Earth 2 with like The Rock and Vanessa Hudgens, it's just like Josh Hutcherson just like ogles Vanessa Hudgens the entire time. It's there's no story. Brendan Fraser like carried the movie.
I can agree. But you know, Mark, overall, I think this night and this episode has been a great time, you know, getting your introduction, introducing you to everyone. That's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun co-hosting with you. You know, it was great to see what's going on Hofstra's campus. You know, I mean, look at you starring in those commercials. Woo-hoo.
I mean, hey. Yeah.
What was that club called?
Hofstra Filmmakers Club, guys. It's Wednesday nights.
Okay. Wednesday nights at what time, though? You got to be a little bit more specific.
Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Currently, we're doing Zoom meetings because Hofstra requires it.
And perfect. I mean, hey, I'm very, very glad with that. And then also, it's great to have Katie on the show with us as well.
Absolutely.
I love hearing from other students. You know, I'm always hearing from you, Mark. All your hot takes, 24/7.
And the same for you. You act as if that's a bad thing, but come on.
Definitely. And it was also just, you know, great to kind of see what you think for the future of the film industry, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I look forward to 2024 when we get to, I guess, see a sort of new outcrop of movies that are more representational, you know, a little more diverse, hopefully. Hopefully they do it correctly and not just for the sake of, I guess, representation, because I know that you know, there, even now, though there's been sort of a push for that, that's kind of how it ends up playing out right now. So hopefully they learn and they grow. And I think, you know, 2-3 years, that's a good amount of time for them to do it.
I agree, especially because that gives enough time for writing to occur, and just for the whole system, you know, the whole Hollywood system, as large as it is, you know, and as much of a machine as it is, I think 2 years will give it enough time for us to really get rolling and to move from just streaming platforms properly, you know, representing people, and to move it into, you know, the big screen, I guess you could say. So it's great. And, you know, with that, it's the end of today's fantabulous virtual episode. Please stay tuned for our next episode, which is October 8th, and we'll be live in Studio A. That's right. We'll be back, baby.
And be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms. You can find us at Director's Cut HU on Instagram, and you can like us at Director's Cut on Facebook. We're so excited to see you back in studio next time. But for now,
I'm Spencer Fowler.
And I'm Mark Herron. This has been Director's Cut. Have a good night.